Welcome to the video. I'm Nick from Noob to Pro and I hope you are doing great today. We've been talking all about the different creatures of Ark, looking at everything you need to know to tame them, giving you tips and tricks on what to do with them, and have they got any special abilities. Today is all about the Equus, so let's go find one. We're looking at the Equus spawn map for the island, and as you can see, they're not very common, but they do spawn in various places dotted around the map. Okay guys, the best way to tame an Equus, as with so many other creatures in Ark, is to dump them in a taming pen. And it's not because they're dangerous themselves, but because of the surroundings. There are loads and loads of predators in the areas where you will find an Equus. So that's why I use the taming pen. Now, if you're not at a high enough level to use an Argentavis yet, then you're going to have to do it in the wild. But I would strongly advise you to go around and kill all the other predators first, because they will really spoil your tame. And speaking of which, I'm just going to get rid of this Therizinosaur here. Though I'm going to be using the taming pen, the Therizinosaur might just get a little bit too close and it's just going to completely spoil the tame. So we'll get rid of that and we'll leave Hurricane here. Now I'm in my cowboy gear here, but that's no good for taming the Equus. What you need to do is put your ghillie armor on. Your ghillie armor stops any wild creatures having a... well, it doesn't stop them from seeing you, but it lessens the distance to what they're going to see you. Now, with the Equus, it is a passive tame, but it's not quite that easy. What you've got to do is go behind it. You press, it's the triangle button on the PlayStation, what it is on the Xbox or PC, I'm not 100% sure, but you press the button to feed from the last slot in your hotbar, and then you've got to then jump onto the back of the Equus. If you don't jump onto the back of it, it is going to be a waste of time. Your taming effectiveness is going to go down by the time it's calmed down enough for you to get back on it, and you really need to start again. Now, if you look at the bottom right hand corner of the screen, it says the effectiveness at 100%. It's plus 35 levels, because this was a level 72 Equus, and it says I'm 49% tamed. Now, I'm using simple kibble. You could use rock carrot as well. There are other things you can use. You can use regular crops, you can use sweet veg cake, but that extends the taming time by a considerable amount. And you could even use meteor berries or mixed berries, but to tell you the truth, it will take you that long that it just becomes impractical if you try doing it with those. So I would say the only things to use is either the simple kibble or the rock carrot. Now, the reason I go for the simple kibble, it does take a little bit longer than the rock carrot, but it doesn't go off as quick. So if you are around trying to find an Equus and you've got a load of rock carrot on you, there's a chance it might just go off before you get your tame done. Now, you may have seen there was a message came up down, and it just came up again there, and it was telling me to feed the Equus. You've got to do it when that message comes up, and there you go yet again. Now, if you do it before that message comes up, the Equus is going to buck and kick you off, kick you in the head, and you're going to have a bad day from there. If you do it too late, do it afterwards, after the message comes up, guess what? It's going to buck you off, kick you in the face, and you're going to still have a bad day. Now, it's only going to take one more piece of kibble, and there we go. We have a tamed Equus. Great thing about the Equus is that you can ride them with or without a saddle. I would recommend the saddle, but we will come to that in just a moment. Quick look at the stats then. We've got 1152 on the health, 1120 on the stamina, a weight of 511, and the melee of 273. Now that's not too bad for a level 107. I might put a bit of work into those stats there and get myself a really good Equus here. Now, we've got the saddle on. I'll pop some sweet veg cake in there, and that's another thing we'll speak about in just a moment. But first of all, the saddle, as you can see, like the Argentavis and the Beaver double up as a smithy, the Equus doubles up as a mobile mortar and pestle. So anything you can make in the mortar and pestle, you can also make on the Equus saddle. One great thing about the Equus is their stamina drain, when they're running, that is. As you can see here, they can run, the stamina does go down, but so slowly that they can practically run forever, and you can get out of more sticky situations with the Equus. Now, when I said that is the case when they're running, when they're fighting, their stamina drains very quickly, so that's one thing you do need to be aware of. Speaking of when they're fighting, the Equus kick, not the bite, only the kick, actually works as a torpor attack, and as you can see, I haven't killed that Dillo there, I have just knocked it out. So these guys are really useful, especially quite early game if you have got one of these whilst you're in the early game, but they can be really useful for taming. Going back to the saddle, if you put some fibre and thatch in there, you can make a lasso. The only place in the game that you can make a lasso, the Equus saddle. Now, with the lasso, what you can do is go around and lasso smaller creatures. Some people say how great the lasso is and what have you. I think they're okay. It's a bit of fun maybe. By the time you're using or you're taming an Equus, you're going to be able to tame any of the smaller creatures anyway. So, you know, just lassoing a Dillo, for instance, and dragging it into a taming pen. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but yes, you can do if you really wanted to. I'm going to try and find something to lasso just to show you how to do it. It can be quite tricky, but let's just find something to do it. I'm just going to sort these flies out and I'll be back to you in just a moment. Okay, we've got a Lystro here, or an XP guy, whatever you want to call him, and there you go, lassoed him, and it puts you straight into first person, and the lassoing was easy enough, but then you've got to ride and get him into wherever you want to take him. I'll just put it onto the orbital camera and just see. Yeah, like I said, it can be quite tricky, this part, but I'm just dragging him along and I can dump him wherever I want to dump him. Maybe if he was in a dangerous area and I wanted to tame him, I could maybe drag him towards my base or something like that. And there you go, he's still there. Now, as I mentioned earlier, one of the main reasons for taming an Equus is to help you tame other creatures. Now, we've got a level 12 Therizinosaur here, and we're going to tame him. Now, earlier on, I put some sweet veg cake in the Equus ventre. I said we'd touch on that a bit later. If you didn't know, the sweet veg cake will, when the Equus loses a certain amount of his health, he will automatically take a sweet veg cake and it will put his health right back up there. If we didn't have a sweet veg cake, then the Therizinosaur would have killed the Equus very easily. So get the sweet veg cake in there. It will eat some when his health goes down. If it's still low 30 seconds later, it will take another bite. In the meantime, I've been kicking the Therizinosaur, and the Therizinosaur's torpor has gone right up. It's nearly ready to pass out, so it's run away. I'm only going to have to get a couple more kicks in there, and we're going to have ourselves an unconscious Therizinosaur. And there we go. So, as I said, one unconscious Therizinosaur. If I wanted to tame it, it's mine to tame. We always like to check how our creatures across different terrain. So here we are on Redwood Mountain, and let's just see how we get up there. Quite steep here, but I think we'll be okay. Gonna struggle a little bit, but yeah, we can jump a little and climb. Yeah, and we're up there, no problem. We're not quite at the top yet, so let's just see what we can do around here. It's a bit steeper here maybe, but yeah, we can still do that there. And yeah, I think we're even straight to the top. Brilliant. Yeah, so as you can see, they're not the best in the world at climbing. I mean, they're not a Falcoli or anything like that, but they can do the business. Final thoughts on the Equus. These things certainly not an easy tame, and one thing I didn't mention earlier was that if, when you are trying to tame them, if you mess up and you lose taming effectiveness, you can always get them tranked out, use your trank arrows, trank darts, whatever it is you want to do, get it unconscious. When it wakes up, you can start brand new, start afresh, and go for that 100% taming effectiveness. Once tamed, they're a great steed for getting around. They're quite fast with low stamina drain, so they can get you out of most situations. Just remember, when they start to kick, then they will lose that stamina real soon. The Equus has a weight reduction on cementing paste, cactus sap, clay and sand of 80% and 50% for chitin, keratin and stone. Using the saddle as a mobile motor and pestle can come in really useful, and also, as we have seen, when you have sweet veg cake in their inventory to keep their health up, then these guys can knock out even some of the toughest of creatures. Guys, if you have found anything on this video useful, I really appreciate you hitting that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any more of our videos like the one showing on screen right now. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing day.